Stupid fourth wall, never being able to be back at 100% after breaking. Guess I'll have to live with 67% efficiency. Okay, let's begin the review. Time to see if a Spike comic is better than a Spike episode. But first, the spoiler alert. There are spoilers for an IDW comic in this video. I'm warning you now so you don't explode twice in the comments. So this comic is written by Rob Anderson.
Mr. Anderson.
With art by Anges Garbowska?
And I will remind you, mispronouncing things is my thing.
Anyways, Anges' art is very interesting. I can't exactly place what it reminds me of. I really like the shading, but the heads are huge compared to the body, which just looks kind of weird, even for a cartoon. Though it's more prevalent in the ponies than Spike, so I guess it's kind of a good thing that the ponies aren't really in this comic that much. So it begins with Fluttershy and Twilight training Angel and Owlicious for the plot convenience show. I mean, the pet show. Sorry, I misspoke. Meanwhile, Spike is reading a comic. While reading, Spike is clearly getting upset over the training going on in front of him. When asked if he's okay, we get a mention of what happened to Spike's pet Pee-wee that he acquired in the episode Dragon Quest.
Continuity!
Anyways, Spike concludes that he will get some of the sea beasts from an ad in the back of the comic. So the next day, the sea beasts arrive. Now, personally, I think it should have been Derpy who delivered the package, but logic dictates that she is not the only male mare or male stallion in Equestria. Getting back on track, Spike puts the packets into a comically large aquarium. Fast forward 3 hours, and Spike presents his new pets to Twily and Flutters. And to no pony's surprise, if you've ever had pet sea monkeys as a foal, they are virtually invisible because of how tiny they are. Spike concludes that that must mean they are not fully grown yet. So he waits, and waits, and still nothing happens. Then, shortly after Twilight leaves for the pet show, Spike decides to give them some super grow food from a magical pet food book. What could possibly go wrong? And the next day, they seem to have grown, and also show a natural tendency to learn tricks rather quickly. Then, after feeding them again, they begin to reproduce asexually. At first, Spike is quite ecstatic about their multiplication, cause then he has twice the number of sea beasts than he did before. But he slowly begins to panic as they continue to multiply until they fill up the comically large aquarium. So Spike quickly whips up another magical food to try to stop them from multiplying, and to his relief, they stop. Also, I'd like to point out that there are 2 more nods to continuity with Spike's different outfits. Unfortunately, Spike's problems are far from over, as the sea beasts begin evolving to be amphibious and begin to gain the ability to speak. So even though the book is now ripped thanks to the sea beasts, he decides to whip up another batch of food having something to do with growth, to hopefully stop their increase in size. Some hours later, it is revealed that the sea beast's intelligence continues to increase, and apparently they've developed a form of leadership, until things devolve into an all-out war. So Spike has to take charge. He decides to take a page from Twilight's playbook and teach them. Eventually, after teaching them for a few hours, Spike gets tired and goes to sleep. Then, instead of destroying the library again, the sea beasts take it upon themselves to continue their learning. Spike awakens to find his pets enlightened, and they thank him for his care and guidance. They then decide to leave to found their own settlement, just as Twilight and Fluttershy get back. The end. Also, Angel got first prize at the Plot Convenience show. I'd give this comic 7.5 sea beasts out of 10. Overall, it was a rather enjoyable comic. It had great continuity nods to the show, it was paced rather nicely, and the flow of time was consistent and easy to follow. My only real gripe with it was the excuse for Fluttershy and Twilight to disappear after the first couple of pages. Though I don't really see how the story would have worked out to the same conclusion had Twilight or Fluttershy been directly involved with it, so I guess I'll let that slide. And the morals were okay, like don't bite off more than you can chew, magic, or for non-fantasy settings, the easy way isn't always the answer, education is important, and much like Friendship Ahoy, if you love something, set it free. Though for the most part, Spike already knew those lessons and they were more or less just being taught to the audience. So there was nothing new added to Spike's existing character. There wasn't much character development, aside from maybe a little bit more responsibility than he already had. I will, however, say that this comic has one of the best portrayals of Spike in the entirety of Gen 4. From his childlike, brash decision-making at the beginning of the comic that inevitably caused the conflict in the comic, to his level-headedness and ability to take control of the situation at the end of the comic, it's a pretty good portrayal of Spike. We haven't seen this good of a Spike since Equestria Girls 1. But in the end, that is just my 2 bits on the micro-series comic starring Spike, the Dragon. Tell me your 2 bits on this comic in the comments below. And while you're down there, why not suggest a possible future spoiler alert? And don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm Comic Sans, and I will see you next week for a review of the final micro-series comic, The Day Shift, starring the Princess of the Night, Luna. See you then.
This place is all I have ever known, all I see. The world feels much smaller than I know that it must be. Somewhere beyond this land are there others just like